high grocery bills, home heating oil.
Janet Mills program to give $850 back to Maine taxpayers. Call the pay. He opposed it.
I would not have sent the money out.
But that's not all. As governor, for childcare and even Meals on Wheels, because he's not just offensive and divisive, he's cruel. And it's why we can't go back to Paul LePage. The top funder of Better Maine is the Democratic Governors Association.
A day in the war of the middle class by Jared Golden and the Democrats. That day, Jared Golden voted to raise taxes on low and middle-income Americans, double the size of the IRS, drive up home heating and gas prices, and empower new regulators.
Oh, somebody is not muted.
Yeah, we can stop their war on the middle class. Defeat Jared Golden.
Janet Mills and Paul LePage square off in a Voice of the Voter Forum Thursday on News Center Maine. I like this time of year. Even early this morning. Yeah. And as you showed us on one of the earlier maps, in the 70s in Berlin, New Hampshire. I'm gonna turn this outside. What a waste. If we got sun, because last week I was talking about we could get in the 70s if everything turned out right. Well, half of it turned out right. We had the air mass, we didn't get the sun. So as Pat noted, look at Berlin, New Hampshire got to 76 today, 71 in Bangor. but again, a bit graphic.
Over time, we no longer have Social Security. Don Wood explained his plans to destroy Social Security and Medicare.
Privatization is hugely important in plan.
Lost and found. But take a closer look.
T-shirts are more accessible. People can design their own T-shirts, and it really talks about the evolution of the graphic tee as it relates to me.
It's called fashion.
But,
Geez, I never unpaused the recording.
oh, the whole thing?
Do it again.
Just real quick, Tim,
Sorry,
could you
Cliff.
just identify yourself for the recording so everyone knows who you are?
Sure, I'm Tim Smith. I'm the board member with the Great Bush Regional Land Trust, and I'm serving as the project manager for this project.
Cliff, would you like to repeat your questions so they're recorded?
Yes, I do. Probably I might want to add a little more, something to, in the traffic study, a lot of people spoke up, said how long they live in Southborough and all that. Well, I'm 6th generation of Southborough. I don't know if I said that before. But anyway, the property tax number. Oh, yeah. Use of the undesignated fund, as I fairly well understand it from someone who was on the council for over 16 years and he ain't here, and I'm very not happy with it. I won't mention his name. So, property tax stabilization, I'm sorry, abatements, stabilizing of the tax rate, emergencies such as a very expensive piece of town equipment gets destroyed, a boiler blows up, something like that. You could go into this emergency fund that the town taxpayers have put in there and possibly reserve some of the money from that. And also, they must have 3 months of operating expenses for like the school budget. Okay. It's mentioned to this purchase would not affect the, oh yeah. It was mentioned once that the purchase of this property would not affect the tax rate. However, will it increase? Will the overlay be increased in to cover the withdrawal of $250,000 next year?
No.
So it won't. All right, it's free money. So please, how many how much will the town lose in property taxes? I think you already said that.
It wasn't recorded though, so I'll just say it again. In the event these questions play out and the town takes appropriate action, that the town would lose about $7,000 in annual tax revenue.
And I get, I'll put this out there again. Will the town need to purchase more liability insurance on this property when they take ownership?
No.
Okay. Of course, you said that. And will the town be responsible for maintenance and upkeep of this property?
This was sort of a funny question, because I think, Tim, sorry, can you answer this question again?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
The Great Bush Land Trust is raising enough money to maintain and establish the property, public access, and maintain it. And so if we're successful in reaching that goal, then those funds would be available to whoever the owner of the property is. So that would be the town. That would
And like I said before, it is kind of too bad that this somehow couldn't have been publicized big time in August, because on August 27th, they gave a presentation here, which was very good. But we see how many of the public are here now, and like I said before, we don't have the press, but we had the Fosters, used to go to everybody almost, and Portsmouth Herald. And council chambers used to be pretty much full and sometimes have to go upstairs. But this is kind of a sad thing that not everybody has computers. And it's just a shame that more people aren't here and to hear the episodes. I'm sorry if I stumbled off a lot.
You're good.
I certainly did.
Janine, go ahead.
Jean Petropoulos, Oldfields Road, 42 Oldfields Road, and like, I also have sat up at that table, and I don't necessarily disagree with Cliff on a few points in that it would have been nice to have had a higher profile. I don't know quite how we achieve that without a local paper. But I do want to make the case for the public as to why this property, why now, and provide a little history from my time on the council and prior to the council as to what we tried, different ways of trying to preserve open space. And we had during my time on the council, we had entertained an impact fee on development, as North Berwick has done. We tried to implement when somebody pulls land out of open space or tree growth, that penalty would be put into an open space fund. And despite my best efforts, at that time, the council said, no, when you have the right project, you come to the council and you request the funds. And so here we are. This is this point. Other ways of creating an open space fund, dedicated open space fund that could be tapped into this, were not adopted by the council at the time. I'm in the minority, that's fine, we move forward. So that's where we are at this point. The other part of this that I would like to make is that this is not out of the blue. The comprehensive plan, the first comprehensive plan, which was actually mostly written by the state planning office and our planner at the time, and had a lot of citizen input, picked out the Salmon Falls River corridor, picked out the Balancing Rock and the gorge and the overlook and Mount A for all the efforts that had already been put into conserving or wanting to conserve those lands. I see this project as what happens when you don't put a study on the shelf. We didn't chase landowners, but when we've had landowners approach the land trust, of which I know kind of an underground, I'm not a high profile member of, but I help when I can. We respond to that. And if it comes to a level of importance for a town, that's when we approach the town to help us with the project. So the Salmon Falls River, well, Cliff knows, he lives on it, but he lives above head high, is the heart and soul of this town. It was the center of life for the Native Americans. It was the center of life for the early European colonists. It was the center of life through the Industrial Revolution, that and the Great Works River with the mills. This area has huge significance also for its natural resource values. We have a sewer treatment plant that discharges into this river, and its overall water quality either facilitates the functioning of that sewer treatment plant or pushes it to have to do better. So there is a benefit in trying to maintain that buffer, in trying to maintain that undeveloped nature of this corridor that transcends, just, it's here right now, gee, it sounds nice, let's do it. It's rooted in the past documents this town has produced. And it's rooted, frankly, in good economic sense. When the sewer upgrade had to happen, Cliff, what happened to sewer bills here? So this is one of those sorts of things that helps protect that water quality in the river further downstream. And that becomes the compelling argument, or one of the compelling arguments. The other compelling argument that we don't tend to realize is how much conservation has already happened on the Rollinsford side of the river, which is almost 700 acres of land, and that shoreline. And this connects through to the York Pond area. So there's a corridor, it doesn't connect directly, but it helps with that visual connection for osprey and eagles and other wildlife going back and forth. So I did want to kind of bring a historical perspective that even the Land Trust board members don't recognize, that some of you who maybe haven't been in town long enough, you got to be here and live it. And it was important before I moved to town, and I had people tutor me along as to what were the things in this town that they loved. Paul Colbert, Sandy, who's still here, up on Zoom now. A number of people who had their deep roots in this town. And gee, it became my town, and that work became my work. And as I age, I'm hopeful that some of those values become your work. So I just wanted to put that in.
Thank you.
Melissa Costello, Boyd's Corner Road. I have a question. Who was the author for the referendum questions that are actually on the ballot? Our town attorney or? Okay. I think our town attorney did a huge disservice to not only the Great Works Regional Land Trust, but also to the townspeople. The question was very vague. So you read the question, really kind of vague. You go to the Great Works Regional Land Trust website to learn more information about it. So then you see figures like $250,000 is a big ask that they're asking from the town. But the total project is actually $2.2 million. And then you see words like interim, and you see words like, we might not even have ownership. So, but then I went to the informational meeting the other night that they had at the library because I was completely confused, and all I kept thinking is, we're gonna pay $250,000 for something that we might not even own. And it was just very confusing. So I think in the end, an apology should actually be extended not only to this group, but also to the townspeople for this being a very, very poorly worded referendum question. And with Cliff's I share his sentiments of the informational meeting provided by the town maybe should have been a little bit earlier, because now you have 500 plus absentee voters that may have voted already, passed in their ballots, and they didn't have all the information that was available.
Brett Crop, Liberty Street. I was just wondering if the transfer of the funds was contingent upon the Great Works raising the money to buy the property.
Yes.
Okay.
So essentially what happens, Madam Chair, is, so the warrant question authorizes the town council to spend those funds. And the town council has to do what the citizens ask, but the town council can also set criteria on how that's done in so much as by saying, you know, we won't give you the 250,000, or we hold it till you raise the 2.2 million till the project is complete, then you give us a letter asking for us. So they can put a stipulation on, they cannot do it if the taxpayers approve to do it unless the project falls through. But they can put stipulation onto when they do that. So if the, for instance, would be, you know, Ken says, well, okay, you know, they say, well, we'll give you the last 250,000 will be our money. Won't raise the rest of your money, or however it works out, but they usually at that point, Great Works Land Trust would work with the council on developing a payment contract or getting the funds.
Anyone else have anyone else in the room? Go ahead, Kat.
Brattle Street, and also on the board of the Great Works Regional Land Trust. Can I direct my question to Jen?
Are you okay with that? Yeah.
Back at a previous meeting when Tim was here doing the presentation, or you were talking about, you said something about how much money was in the unrestricted fund now and how much you're mandated to have in the unrestricted. Can you repeat that for us?
I got it too. You have it? Go ahead.
So the balance in the undesignated fund is $5,850,000 after using $700,000 for this year's reduction in the tax burden for the taxpayers for this year. We have to keep in 3.2 million. Or as Cliff mentioned earlier, we have to keep in 3 months of our expenses and the school expenses, and that's what we have to do. So if we were to move forward with this $250,000 towards the land, that would leave $2,370,000 above and beyond the threshold of what we have to keep in there.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
You are.
Anyone else in the room? Tim, go ahead.
Yes, Tim Smith again with the Great Works. And I just want to a little bit emphasize the importance of this vote. The Land Trust has already raised $545,000 of this project. And of course, if we do not actually make it all and cannot purchase the land, the properties, we will not use the town's money because it is to go to complete the project. And the importance of this vote is, at least from my point of view, is that we need to go out and raise the rest of the money. If we get this $250,000, that'll get us a little bit over the third of the way there, but still, it's only a third of the way there. And we have to convince other funders to participate. And several of them will likely be from the state, the Lands for Maine's Future program, or the federal government has a number of potential granting sources, and we will be approaching them to help us out on this project. And they always ask, there's always a difficult applications and hard to follow, but they always ask, is there community support for this project? And what I want to emphasize is that there's nothing that says there's community support, and nothing says it more clearly than a town vote to appropriate tax dollars. And everyone, especially in the state government and the federal government, realizes how difficult that is to do. So that the town will vote for it, and if it votes positively for that, that sends a clear message to these other funders and answers that question. Yes, the town does support this project, and this is how it supports it, and you actually provide them with a number because you have a vote tally. Well, that's one of the reasons that this is important, and why we're asking the town to participate a little bit early in the project, not at the end, but a little bit early, because it's going to help us convince other funders to also participate. Thanks.
Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to add anything to our public hearing? I'm not seeing any hands. Council, anyone have anything they want to add? Any questions?
I have something.
Okay.
There's been some rhetoric going around about this being rushed and the propriety of the council's decision to put this on the ballot. I believe it's always troublesome to recall dates, but the first time we heard this was, like, I believe on July 26th, and that was.
I think Tim did a presentation last March.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But in terms of the action to put it on the ballot, it started with the presentation of this information, and that was dated, this document at least is, we got it from Connie Eaton on July 24th, and I believe we can check the record, but there's another piece of correspondence here dated July 19th. This is from the neighborhood community Goldfield Road.
Myself then. The first presentation about this project was in March. Then about the ballot, yes. Yes.
That's what I'm speaking to.
Yeah,
Pat.
okay, I misunderstood you.
So, yeah.
No, I
Thank you for helping
misunderstood that you were
clarify.
talking about the ballot. I just want to confuse you, Ted.
You're not confusing me, but the public can be confused when people don't really do. And so subsequent to that action on the 26th of July, I believe we had a meeting on August 9th. And that's when it was posted on the agenda, and it was action taken by the council. So basically that was the second reading on this particular item. And we usually don't go ahead on anything until we have a second reading. And that was when we actually moved and voted to have the town attorney put this language together. Or actually, we were asking, Tim left, but I think pursuant to the 26th meeting, we asked for the town attorney to put together some language. I think the language was present on August 9th. So statutory minimums by the council have been established. And also, and I congratulate Tim on this, that out of an abundance of caution, we're timely with this public hearing. We have enough time before this vote, just in case, because there was a little bit of an ambiguity about whether or not a public hearing was actually required. So we said, okay, we can do it. So we're giving people an opportunity to speak and be heard and develop more information. It's the same old problem. You know, we can put things out on the website, we can publish things, you know, in meeting notes and all the rest of it, but if people don't read them, it's really not our fault. We're doing the business of the town in our prescribed manner with our public meetings. So I get a little sensitive to when people come up and say we didn't do our diligence on this. We have. And so now, and the other part was, and I think that's why I supported put it on the ballot, was it's awful difficult, as Cliff knows and Jeannie knows and everybody else who sits on the board here knows, for the five of us to make up the minds of 7,500, 8,000 people. So now we are giving the people of the town of South Berwick the opportunity to express their will, just like they've expressed their will in the canvassing we've done for the comprehensive plan. You know, there's questions in there about open space. If people choose to answer those, that's great. If they don't, well, then we're hampered by that, but I think we're gonna have a lot of good information coming from that as well. So I just wanted to kind of defend the process and say that I'm feeling great about it. And we've basically done everything we can do to put it out there. And if people don't want to read it, well, then we have to do the best we can without.
Anyone else? Last chance? Ted, go ahead. One more time.
Yeah, I would just like to agree with Jack. That certainly my experience here, coming to the council meetings has been very positive, and I've really appreciated that. Again, this is not an easy, process when you're coming in, and, there's always a lot of competing needs for town lawn. So I've been, we work with all 6 towns in the Great Works area, and South Berwick has been doing a very good job and been very supportive of that. I just want to also say that, the landowners have been very generous here too. They've given us until the end of next year, the end of 2023, to complete the purchase. And that's very generous because they started out this process with the idea that they would be developing their properties. And we asked them, would they give us time to do this? And they agreed to do that. So we're thankful for them to do that.
Thank you.
One more comment. Not to say that I'm not against conservation, because I'm not. I think of when I was on the council, when our population was 3,500, and all of a sudden we had an explosion. But they're all South Berwick residents, and I'm not saying anything bad about anybody in South Berwick, because when I was on town council, one end of the town to the other, to the other, not just a little group. I appreciate you.
All right, one last call for anybody on Zoom. Jessica, go ahead.
Yeah, just for the record, I wanted to state that it was on the March 22nd, the April 12th, the July 26th, and the August 9th town council agendas.
Thank you.
Could you say that again?
Absolutely. The Great Works Regional Land Trust was on the town council agendas of March 22nd, April 12th, July 26th, and August 9th.
Thank you for pulling that together. All right, anyone else? Last words. All right, it is 6:59. We'll go ahead and close our public hearing on the election referendum questions. Thanks, everyone. And before we kick off the rest of our council business, today is kind of a big day in that Councilor Karikas, this is, I believe, his last meeting with us. And we wanted to take an opportunity to thank you, Jack, for all of your time in council. We've got some department heads here as well.
Department heads, come on in. Madam Chair, I request that you hereby so order the vice chair to come forward and present in the center of the room, please.
Jack, you must go for her.
Do not trip over that because I'm not going to say it.
No lifeline.
Zero lifeline on that one. I would roll out of the way.
Where am I supposed to be, Tim?
I'd like to have you right up front. So, Mr. Vice Chair, this is it. This is the end of the line. Thank you for your 37 years service. Some of the department heads attended the meeting at their free will, and they'd like to speak to you. That's their free will. I did mention that, right? I did not order anybody to do this. So they all would like to just have a minute to address you. So, Chief.
On behalf of the South Berwick Police Department, we want to give our sincere gratitude for your 37 years of experience here in helping and assisting with the town of South Berwick. This brand new facility here, your name is on it downstairs. It will always be there. And I just wanted to make sure that you know from the South Berwick Police Department on how much assistance and help you've given us over the years.
Thank you. Means a lot.
Jack, on behalf of the fire department, to echo Chief Ruger's sentiments. Thank you for your always supporting us for everything we do, always standing up for our needs and taking care of whatever we needed, whenever we needed it. It certainly has not gone unnoticed. Thank you again for your 37 years of service. the town.
It's actually one of my favorite things to get away from the building where the York Hospital is right now. No, actually, it's Wentworth Douglas Hospital. That's what the old fire station was. And we needed to move to the community center because basically the front face of that building was falling off. The brick part. And so that was a big thing for the town. Yeah. All right, Jay.
Jay was in diapers.
Basically.
No, not
I'm not everything over.
Jay, from the highway department, thank you for all the equipment you gave us, the awesome building that you gave us last year. It's, can't say enough for all the support you gave us. The road bond, town, Southborough should be very happy for the way the roads are in this town. It's because you promoted that $4 million bond for us to do the work.
Yeah, a lot of folks don't realize that the most expensive piece of infrastructure that we have in the town is the road system. You know, it's over $1 million a mile now, but so we have 67 miles of roads.
Closer to 70 now.
70, and so basically if you use $1 million a mile, 70 million, there's no building worth $70 million in this town that we own anyway. So thanks a lot, really
Thank you
appreciate
very
it. Oh, yeah, thank you. Nikki.
Yeah. I just also want to thank you for all your support, recreation, Powder House. Your knowledge is invaluable. Just so you know, per your request, we did take you off the volunteer list, but you were not deleted. You were cut and pasted onto the consultant list. We will definitely be reaching out, I'm sure, and keeping in touch with the Powder House.
You can't leave Powder House.
No, yeah, well, he thinks he is.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't leave Powder House.
Well, that's a real close thing to my heart. When you see these young kids over there, you know, for $5, being able to, you know, have healthy recreation. And God knows what those 14-year-olds talk about when they're at the top of the hill, like 8 of them, 10 of them, I don't know, but they all decide to come down together and go back up together. But it's really a wonderful thing that the town does to provide that recreational opportunity, outdoor recreation too. So it's wonderful.
Yep, it's a
Thank
gem in
you.
our town. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Tammy?
On behalf of the planning department, thank you very much. I haven't been here anywhere near as long as anybody else, but I have enjoyed my time here in Southborough.
Yeah, and hopefully it's going to be a long and productive run for you because people kind of stick here. I mean, I was just talking to Barbara before, you know, I went and got a haircut today and Rio put me in a pencil sharpener and cut some hair, but you know, like just in passing, 25 years in the fire department. You know, just there's people who just serve and serve and serve in this town, and it's wonderful. And it's been a real pleasure to be part of it.
The longevity, having it in the community is wonderful.
Yeah, for some reason, we like to do things together. And I've always said we live in kind of a grody little town. It's not really fancy, spiffy, and all the rest of the stuff, but the people make it.
Yeah, the people make your community.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you very
Oh.
much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Am I done yet?
Well, we've only had 4 years of working together, but I have definitely learned a lot about municipality and how town council, and just learned a lot from all your experiences and your great stories that you always tell. So just thank you for your dedication to the town for 37 years.
And thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
And so from the town council, the employees, myself, and everybody, I have a nice award of appreciation plaque presented to John Jack Caracas, 37 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Southborough, Maine. Planning Board, 1985 to 1991, Chair, 1988 to 1991. Zoning Board of Appeals, 1993, 2005. Chair, 1997, 2005. Comprehensive Plan, Natural Resources, Subcommittee Chair, 1989. Comprehensive Plan Committee, 2002, 2004. Powder House Ski Hill Volunteer, 1997 to 2022. Southborough Town Council, elected 2010 to 2022. Chair, 2014 to 2021. Comprehensive Plan Committee, 2022. Thank you for your service, and that's presented tonight. Thank you, Mr. Caracas.
Okay, thank you.
We're right there.
And Jack, more so on from the council, we've got the chair.
You and Mitch now have a pair.
Yes, I wanted to make sure you had a pair.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd be remiss in saying that, like, at the next council meeting, will be the first time in 18 years that Carikas isn't on the warrant as far as signing things off. So together, my wife and myself have 24 years of elected office. She had 6 years on the school board, 6 years on the council, and my 12 on the council. So we're very proud of that, and we're really looking forward to the next chapter.
Well, congratulations, Jack. Thank you from the citizens, the community, the board, myself. You're all here.
Okay, great, thank you.
Enjoy your office.
Thank you very much. Oh.
And yes, Jack, we all signed it on the back for you.
I'll have to look at it a little later and read them all. Well, thank you all very much, really appreciate it.
Thank you. We're not going yet.
Handshakes. I'm gonna be-
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You want your name on the
Thank
warrant? You got good money?
I'll sign the last name. I got no problem with it, but I need, money in hand.
Yeah, the way the stock market.
Front of my way.
I do.
I'll take care of it.
Oh, very nice. Thank you all very
Potato
much.
for time.
I didn't realize that it needed like 15 minutes to read that off.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, now we can get down to the stuff.
It's a nice thing. It's a very nice. It's something.
All right.
Sorry, I'm done now.
All right, approving our minutes from our public hearing on October 11th. Jack, do you want to make all the motions tonight?
I'll move to, unless there's any suggested amendments. Jessica, you have any? No, so I'll move to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Can sorry,
Yeah, give me a second. I second.
point of order, Barbara, can he second a motion when he was, on minutes when he wasn't there?
Yes, I
That's
can.
what I thought, okay. Thank you for clarifying. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Or sorry, for those in the room, we're gonna back up. We're gonna do that vote over again so we can do a roll call because Jessica's on Zoom. I apologize. I'll go down the line. John?
Yes.
Jack?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jessica?
Aye.
Mallory votes aye.
Yeah, I apologize. It looks
That's
like I
fine,
took this out of order because we had the public hearing on 10/11 as well.
It's okay, Jack. We'll let it slide tonight.
Okay.
I'll do it at the next meeting.
Okay. Did you call the vote?
Yep, we did the vote.
Okay.
Yep. Motion passed 5-0.
So I'll move to accept the minutes of the public hearing on October 11, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? John?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jessica?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. All right, we're done with the minutes. Moving on to our treasurer's warrant.
Madam Chair, I'll move to sign the treasurer's warrant in the amount of $361,041.56 dated October 20th, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No? All right, we'll take a vote. John?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jessica?
Aye.
Mallory votes aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right, we're on to public comment. So does anyone have any comment on anything that's not on our agenda later on? Pat, go ahead.
I just want to remind people this supper is next Wednesday, November 2nd.
Oh, it's not after the election.
Yeah, the time got away from me and I'm like, oh, it's next week. So, and we're still looking for volunteers, if anyone to help at the event, make soup and make cookies. So if anyone wants to help, get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hope to see you all there.
Anyone else? Public comment?
I have a comment about traffic traffic study, but it's on the agenda, so should I wait until?
Yes, wait till, we'll
Okay.
wait till then. Is that okay?
Yes, and then I also have a comment.
Can you state your name and your address?
Sorry, Brett Crop, 34 Liberty Street.
Thank you.
I heard that there's gonna be a tree at, I don't know if it's town hall or the school, which is a great thing, I think, just being festive and whatnot, but I was thinking, in the order, or in
For
this.
Christmas, you're talking?
Yeah, for Christmas, sorry, and it's gonna be late and whatnot, I was thinking in the spirit of inclusivity, I was thinking about if I could raise funds to get like a inflatable menorah. Because Hanukkah's around, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hanukkah, but it's around the same time as Christmas. I think it's like maybe the 19th or the 26th, I don't know the exact dates, but I was just thinking in terms of, we're gonna have one, and maybe we can have, next to it, have a lit up menorah.
I
It
feel
may
like-
require electricity,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole tree thing, that was put on by the Home for the Holidays Committee last year, right? So I think that's more of a Home for the Holidays Committee item.
Okay, but if I were to do it next to it, like outside of, is that something that would be permissible?
Want to be cautious with anything religious.
Why is that?
I'm giving them that information.
Oh, okay.
That's their decision, but because it's not a Christmas tree. It's a holiday tree.
My opinion, I feel like this is, when we did, how did we handle the whole tree thing? Because we needed town,
Tree was donated, we just needed town permission to make sure that it was okay to put it on the front lawn of the town hall. The tree they're planning on lighting this year is a tree that has been lit for many years, the
the
large,
actual tree.
the actual tree out front.
It's
That's
not the little one.
It's not the little one, they're not putting a little one, they want to light the big tree that was lit 5 or 6 years ago was the last time it was lit.
Mhm.
So that's the tree they're trying to light right now, so it's already here.
That's a holiday tree to encompass every.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I didn't have a tree. I had a menorah. Part of our religion.
I'm not, I hear you, Brett, and I see, where I'm not sure of is where it's the Home for the Holidays event and group. They had come to the town council asking to use the electricity and whatnot. Where I'm not sure the legalities or whatever, but where it was just the Home for the Holidays thing. It was more of their deal, asking the town to use a plug, basically. Then where it comes down to is the question of where the town intersects with even if it was just 2 candles that you wanted to put on. It's or whatever it is, it could be whatever, a Grinch that you wanted to hang out there, and it's the point of where the town is coming to be a part of it, where see what I mean? It's a Home for the Holidays thing, and
What if I reached out to them and asked?
We are meeting,
Because I would recommend talking to the Home for the Holidays.
Okay.
And get involved with them and start there.
Jessica's right behind you.
hi Brett, I'm on the Home for the Holidays Committee and we are meeting on Monday. If you'd like an email, I can send you to join and chat about what we can facilitate, if anything, this year.
In my mind,
Sounds
it's
good.
not about what it is, it's about that's their kind of.
Yeah, I don't want to encroach on I was just thinking.
Right.
Get the word out, see if people are interested, and
Yeah.
just see if you got, it would require. Typically you light candles, I don't think I have the capacity to go and light candles but they have inflatable ones that, it has a light in there.
That's a key piece right there. Because when inflatable decorations are not inflated, it looks like litter. And
I can put up a sign that says menorah don't touch or something. It's like,
no, you know what I'm saying? It's just,
Yeah.
it's a flat bag on the wall. And
And then it snows and you get ice on it.
It can come clear at all.
but no, that's just another piece. I'm not saying.
So we gotta we gotta be careful, Jessica, when they talk, make sure they come back to the town, because I know if we put a nativity scene out there, I know it's been done in certain towns, it is not gone over well, because it's town-owned property.
Churches.
Churches have them, yes. I know at one point there was one on the town lawn, and I didn't think it went over well. This is going way back, Jeannie. I'm talking me driving first time, so 45 years ago, give or take, but we need to, if the Home for Holidays agrees, we just need to make sure through legal that there's no hiccups. Just because, that's all.
It's unfortunate, there's no temples nearby, like I put it in my yard, but I don't. you
No,
know, it's- Yeah,
I got it, but
Yeah.
again, it's town-owned property. You gotta be very careful that inclusivity is huge, but
yeah.
we gotta be careful, because no matter what we do, we're gonna upset somebody.
So
I
sounds
guess I'll
like
get in touch
next
with
up with
them
the
and
Home
see.
for the Holidays Committee, and then, but I do agree, I think that there is, if the conclusion is to pursue that, there is a legal check on our part, because it is town-owned property.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good, thank you.
Anyone else, public comment? Anyone on the phone? All right, cool. We'll move on to unfinished business. Number 1, zoning ordinance for solar farms. So in our supporting docs, we have a letter as well as an ordinance draft from the planning board and also our town planner, Tammy. This is, I was surprised to see that this was draft number 6. Did Tammy leave? She left. I don't know why I thought she was still here.
No, she just stayed with it.
This is draft number 6, and the planning board voted to approve this draft, and now it comes to us for next steps. So I think I'm gonna be honest, speaking for myself, I did not have a chance to review this in crazy detail tonight, but we also need to have a second reading before we can.
Well, I think the intent was, because we only had a couple councils last meeting, was wait till you had a full board, then decide whether you wanted, not necessarily to discuss this tonight, but whether or not you wanted to have a workshop or discuss it by agenda at a later date or something like that. This, and also gave a chance for you guys to read it, but you didn't, there was no decision, Vice Chair Karakas, we just kind of left it to bring it back to this meeting to make some kind of formal decision if you want to do it.
I'd personally still like to do a workshop, because I still have issues with the setbacks. I still think it's way over with 100 to 200 feet of setback from the road as far as trees. So I'd like to have a workshop to at least go over that, so everybody can visualize exactly how much 100 feet of woodland is, because it's a lot of woodland.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Jessica, any concerns with doing a workshop?
No concerns. I would actually really welcome one. I know there was a little, I had a few comments the last meeting just about the language that was used in it and making sure that we define acronyms.
Okay, so I know that, so it sounds like the consensus is we want to schedule a workshop with the planning board to address some questions that we have. I know that we have a workshop scheduled for, just looking at my calendar real quick, for December. When did we schedule that workshop? The 29th?
I believe it's November.
Yeah, November 29th, to workshop the cannabis issue. So I would think we would need to go even past that. So maybe we can find out from Tammy and the planning board a date that would work for them. I don't think it's a good idea to smush them together into one evening. Because the topics are so different. What do you think?
Is there a lot on the cannabis issue? I mean, if it's gonna be for me, if it's gonna be a 20-minute or half an hour on the cannabis, I'd rather roll one to the other. And yeah, I'd rather smoke one night than 2 in December.
I think, Madam Chair, I think, John, I think you're right. I don't think there's a lot. I think the cannabis one is, if you've seen that, which we put that out, they're both, I think, close to fruition. Tammy and Jenny will both be there for the cannabis one.
Okay.
So maybe you could just do both that night, you put one on and then do the other one. Worst case scenario, start dragging on, just table it.
Schedule another one. Okay,
For clarification, have we gotten the cannabis one again?
No,
Okay, last we talked, we kicked it back to Jenny and Tammy, and I haven't seen anything since then, correct?
right,
yeah, we had some kind of like piddly revisions and stuff that they were gonna
Right.
get back to us, but I remember them saying that it was gonna be a little bit.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, you just have way overloaded with stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Good, just making
And
sure
we'll
I
have them-
didn't miss anything.
Okay, so conclusion here, we are already having a workshop scheduled with the planning board on November 29th at 6:30. Tammy and Jenny will both be there. We're just going to add this as a topic for the workshop. So the workshop on the 29th will cover cannabis as well as solar farms.
I had one other, as part of the document here, it calls for adding solar farm under table A, in I1 and I2. And major site plan review, and it says all other zoning districts end. So I guess that, I'm not sitting at the time decisions made, but I think I'd like to, I'd ask the question about the rationale for that and why other zones are not eligible for that particular land use. Because we started out, we went down the road a little bit on looking at, or suggesting that we look at properties that had a minimum of 20 acres, I think it was, available.
Yeah.
And because we started to do some things about how many whatever the units of measurement and power units, the watts, megawatts were generated per acre and that sort of thing, and whether or not something would be commercially viable at a small size. What would be like the minimum size that would be commercially viable? And this would not include anything on someone's house. It's basically something in the field somewhere, so perhaps the council and planning board should be looking at like R2 and beyond, because that's where the open space is.
Yeah, that's part of what I had in my notes as well, Jeff, was working, especially with Denise as well. How does that mesh in with her vision for the future and how she could sell and develop as things happen in town? I do have a lot of notes on this that I'll be more than happy to share as after November 8th comes and goes. So, but yeah, I think that there's bits and pieces in there that I think I'd like to bring up even that as in the future.
Okay.
Jeff, Jenny just texted me, if you want to walk in on her, she can tell you about the cannabis. She's reporting, they just have 2 changes left to make and we're ready to present
Oh, cool.
the cannabis ordinance, so that'll be done by Monday, what she's saying.
Perfect. Thanks, Jenny. Okay, any other discussion from the council on this?
Just to refresh everyone, I believe that the status of the planning board's public hearing on this particular amendment is hanging fire based on input from the council.
But
Is
you
that
talking about
everybody's
solar farm?
understanding of
Yes.
that? Yeah. Okay, so just want to make sure that everybody's still online. The public hearing needs to be held.
Yep.
And so productive to keep moving that way.
Did you have anything? Go ahead.
I just have a quick question. In section 6, where it's the buffering and the visual mitigation, random question, do we have a landscape consultant that is available to our planning board? And the reason I ask is I'm looking at the trees that they are suggesting to use as a buffering or mitigation. And they are saying arborvitaes, which are very palatable to deer. And if we put arborvitaes in front of a screening row or for a screening row, one, they're gonna get munched. Two, they are then going to seek neighborly properties once they go to this area. Also hemlocks have a life expectancy. They are also I'm not gonna go on like blah, blah, blah. My concern is that when a solar farm company does present a landscape design for the buffering, do we have somebody available that knows that the plants that they are proposing will or will not work? Because the plants that are being offered definitely have certain sensitivity issues. And something else I would also like them to consider is they are saying that they have to be evergreens, which I completely understand for screening, seasonal, all year round screening purposes. However, if we thought about maybe using a forsythia plant, which is native to our area, the way that it grows, even during the winter when it loses its leaves, it's so compact that it still provides a screening. And it also flowers, which would create more bees and positive insects to the area. So maybe if we don't have somebody that's on the planning board, that maybe we might want to seek out for not only the solar farm plans, but maybe if the town hall gets redone or any other buildings that are going in our town, I think we just really need to have, just a landscape consultant possibly.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so we're all set for a workshop November 29th. We can move on to unfinished business number 2. Sale of town property. To next step. Jeannie.
I was kind of waiting to hear, would like to hear kind of what the plan is for the sale of the property. I know I'm glad to meet you, with each new town manager, it comes up as we have all of this land out in the hinterlands, new council members. And within our ordinance, our code, we talk about the future disposition. And I can tell you that many of the parcels, or actually at one point, all of the parcels that were remaining out in map 2, map 3, map 4, and map 5, there were places where Jack Fogarty did an amazing job piecing parcels together. And other places where they are holes in the tax map. And my comment is that unless you have a deed that when this was tax acquired, it is likely to be a hole in the tax map. And in our code, B, future disposition, the town will not dispose of tax acquired property if the location of the property is questionable. If the location becomes known at a later date, the town may dispose of it in conformance to the policy. Jack created the holes because he couldn't line up ownership of deeds. That doesn't mean they actually exist. And so unless you have somebody who has been delinquent paying their taxes with an actual deed that you can foreclose on, those properties, and at one point in time, I had inventoried them, even for the last town comp plan, they're holes. We don't know whether they're there or not. We don't know what size they are. We gave them size. And the land trust had a map 2 lot 42, had a parcel that it paid taxes on for a number of years. And it was actually part of Hawthorne Homes and is now part of the Roefield subdivision extension. When that subdivision was created, the assessor moved the parcel over because the process of getting rid of the holes in the tax map is a very convoluted, we have to go back through the entire assessment of the town's total acreage. Might be there, might not be there. In this case, that parcel doesn't exist.
So Jeannie, sorry, your question is this piece of property we're talking about, do we have an actual deed for it?
Do you have a deed at the time that it was taken? I mean, the town can create a deed for tax map 3 lot 23A, it's a quitclaim deed for the town's interest. But that would then put you in conflict with this part of our code because we don't know if it exists and we certainly don't know where it is. The hope was over time as people started to come in with real surveys that it might start and make sense out there. But I can tell you that land was speculated on in such a mess. If you see Donald Mackenzie and Charlie Freddy in your deeds, you would just. And that happened throughout the 70s, to the point where land was sold multiple times, same parcel. And the council back in the early 1990s said, we don't want to be part of the perpetuation of this, we'll just hold it. And maybe it disappears. Or maybe it actually starts to kind of have a description and comes to exist. But until, for us to try to put the money into finding those parcels, surveying those parcels to know where they exist, in general, the town has been pretty quick to dispose of land that has come in as tax acquired property on a deed that, you know, where they actually foreclosed. And the rest of it sits out there. And I know it sticks in people's craw because they look and they say, well, the town has all of this land. But it maybe doesn't.
Yeah.
So my question is, does this parcel actually have, when it was tax acquired, a deed?
Yes,
All right.
that was a warranty deed.
Okay,
They did ask, Madam Chair, may I?
Yeah, you're good.
So they did ask for 2 pieces of property, but the second piece of property is exactly what she's talking about. Now, Jen kind of handled this project, so I'm gonna pass it over to you, go ahead.
When they had come to us, they actually wanted to purchase 2 lots. So we did our homework and we did our research, and one of the lots, just as you were talking about, fell into that category. And we didn't feel comfortable knowing where the boundaries were, therefore we told them that's not something that we can sell. The other piece of property, he's actually the abutter of 3 sides. So it was, and we do have.
and
that
it lists as Bennett Lot, on Bennett Lot Road, Old Bennett Road. Old Bennett Road.
Yeah, and it was Danville Sand and Gravel that owned
Okay.
it previously.
Okay,
And then we foreclosed on it in 2019.
you are concurrent.
Thank you, though. That was like, that was helpful for me. So thank you. Okay, so any other public comment on this one before we get into our action? So we had put out that a sealed bid was due by October 19th at 11 a.m. and it looks like we didn't receive anything by that deadline. But then a gentleman came in a few hours later, it looks like with the full minimum bid.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
I'd like to discuss, before we go to a motion, discuss a few conditions for the motion. I have not walked this property. And I think that it would be prudent for the council to add some language rather than just a blanket, move to have a quitclaim deed, the town's interest in it, but that we will be conveying this property on a as is, where is basis. That there's no guarantee with respect to meets and bounds, basically the outlining dimensions of the property, acreage, or other size. Just in case that's ambiguous, because sometimes even with deeds, they leave either a bearing off it or leave a distance off, so you can't really close it. Geometry. And that, like I said, it's basically buyer beware. And we're simply disposing of this property to resolve a tax lien and a foreclosure. How do we feel about those conditions?
Fine with it. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Sounds good. What do you think, Tim?
No, that's fine, and I would ask you to add, and I've done this in other towns, we've also included into what you're kind of saying, a phrase that says, based on information on file at the current time of the sale. So based on anything that we have on, file with us, that's what we base the information on, that's what you got. They can't come back later and say, well, we didn't know, we did it based on what we had on file. So I would just ask you to include that in there as well.
Would you like to offer a motion?
Sure, I would move to for the town to issue a quitclaim deed to allow John Watts to purchase land for the minimum bid of $16,366.85 in accordance with A 158-2, subparagraph 2, disposal of tax acquired property.
You're subject to that.
Oh, this is the, oh, okay. I'll repeat. A 158-2, A, and then there's this subparagraph 2. Okay, thank you. And conditioned upon the land being conveyed on a as is, where is basis, buyer beware, and that there's no guarantees implied or are considered, and we're doing so on the basis of information that the town has on file at the time of the conveyance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. John?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jessica?
Aye.
Well, aye. Motion passes 5-0. And we'll move on to unfinished business number 3, traffic study. Just want to get to, what was our business on this one? What did we-
So after, we had the meeting, about 80 people showed up, 1% of the population, they gave us their ideas and opinions. After the meeting was over, I talked with,
Spago Chickens?
Yeah.
Nikki and Brad.
talked to Nikki and Brad, and they said that this is the opportune time where the council, and now hearing the information from the public, if you want to do any additions or add anything to the project, this is the time now to do it, because a lot of times we find out that, once the project's delivered, the book's delivered, or the report's delivered, then somebody says, oh, well, weren't you gonna include North Street, or weren't you gonna include Young Street? We thought it went to the bridge. So they asked me to convey to the council that at this time, if there's anything additional you want to put in there, you need to make that change tonight so we can call them and get a price. They can put it in and add it into the report. So I'm just kind of putting that out there. I just want to say it was a good meeting. I got good feedback the next day. All the feedback I got was positive. So, we had a lot, not only did the citizens talk about their concerns, they also presented some ideas and suggestions on solving some of the problems and as well as their opinion. But I'd like to, I guess, get feedback on the councils, what do you want to do with the report? Comfortable with what we're talking about? Or do we want to expand it to the whole bridge on Route 4 at Rollinsford, at the Rollinsford line of the river? Do you want to go out, pick up Young Street, pick up Walton Street? Those traffic flows, what are you interested in, or are you happy with just being from where it's at now?
Madam Chair, thank you. Thanks for giving the heads up on that too, so we can think about it ahead of time. I think it makes sense to include any areas, and I can think of basically 4 of them that are ancillary or around the main square of town. Because we have the Norton Street, so-called Shoetown neighborhood that involves Colgan Street, Goodwin Street, Jewish Street, and Norton itself as it approaches Maine. That's one node. We do have Main Street extended down towards the bridge, the point so-called, and then we have, well, it actually goes Grant, Webster, Butler, Neely, Young, Parent, Sewell Road as a node, because these are all impacted. Because people might be coming up from Cumberland Farms, hanging a left at on Sewell Road, and then cutting through to get more easily to Berwick. And so we're seeing some bypass traffic that way. And so that's the second node. The third node that I can think of is Highland, Union, include Berwick Academy, because they're a player. And then onto Academy Street to its terminus, not its terminus, but it's the intersection with Vine Street. And then the fourth one would be Vine, Liberty, and I think that would do it. So that those, because anything that happens, if we put a, we're seeing the bypass traffic as we go right now, John, and thank you very much for mentioning what you're seeing on Rodeo Road, because I didn't realize that. I know people are coming from Wells, Catnick,
Oh, yeah.
on Emery's Bridge coming that way.
Cooper Sands, Belmarsh.
Yeah,
Rodeo.
but now there's kind of north-south traffic that bangs off and what would be Knights Pond Road, North Berwick, to Harvey Cut Road, to your road, Rodeo Road, to Emery's Bridge. And on out. So that's another whole thing. That's not what I'm proposing, but it's helpful to know that we are being impacted. And if, like, for example, when the Catholic Church used to be on Young Street, on Sunday mornings, it was a one-way street because Young Street is so narrow, and just to get the people out. And it was like a, well, it was the Sunday morning, that was it. And so there are some things that the traffic folks may want to consider in terms of creating one-ways, because there has to be something more happening. And the other thing that wasn't mentioned also for the traffic studies consideration is the three-way stop and zippering. I've been practicing that a little bit as I approach the square from the funeral home. As I come to make going to the transfer station. The last week now, I've been yielding to at least one car. Before I make my left onto Portland, I'll let one car out. Because I have kind of control of the intersection at that point. And it's this concept of zippering that works other places in other jurisdictions where if people just simply took turns, it might help mitigate and keep the traffic moving. So, but anyway, that would be, to answer your specific question, I would add not the full emphasis, but to have them give some thought to what the overflow effect might be into those four nodes, as I call
That was the next question they asked. What, where and what, where do you want them to look at? And then what do you want them to look at in that area? So you want them to look at how our downtown and how that would impact those side streets? Is that what you're?
them. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because we're being impacted right now.
I'm assuming that's part of the initial study. I would hope if they're giving us the main drags and they give us suggestions, it's gonna include what's gonna happen on the side streets. I would assume that's part of their study.
I don't believe so. I
It
don't.
isn't. They were specific, and because whoever asked the question, I don't know if it was a member of the public or with Jessica, but they were specific that they only went to the Cumberland Farms driveway.
No, I understand that.
But that, we need more than that.
Well, we didn't ask them to look at like flows and direction of travel. We just asked them to look, we started with, the original scope was from like Cumberland Farms to the intersection, up and back to the intersection and down a little ways on Main Street. The two main intersections are down. And then I think, I can't remember exactly where it was. So, but I remember talking to them last week and they said, so like, if you want to do Young Street, what do you want us to do with Young Street? You want us to look at traffic flow? You want us to look at traffic amounts? So,
Like, I don't know, I feel like we should be able to tell them, like we're paying them to give us recommendations. I don't even know what they mean by traffic flow, and I mean, I do, but like, if they're
Well,
asking us to be
I think,
super
well, I think,
specific.
well, I think they're just looking, you want us to just study those areas for traffic flow in general? Is that what we want? Is that kind of the answer?
I
How-
think
how-
like we know now, given our current state, that all of the areas that Jack knows that he lifts up, which I agree with, there's like overflow and people cutting through and taking shortcuts and stuff to avoid the traffic. And so I think that that plays into this bigger picture, but then also, you know, I would want to understand kind of, okay, if their take on, like, if we made this change, we put in a light here, like,
How will it impact?
how
those
will it
areas?
impact those areas as
Okay.
well? Yeah, does that help?
Yep, I got it.
Does that cover what you were trying to?
Yeah, it's like, basically, we're not looking to have them put the rubber tube across the road where it counts the cars, but make some observations
Mhm.
of what's going on at particular times, the peak times.
Yeah.
And then consider those observations as we contemplate other changes and what might be an impact down the road. So this is really like a kind of a crystal ball thing. We're not gonna hold them to it, but this, just so we're
Their take
aware.
on it.
Because those, if we do go with a proposal to change anything downtown, then people are gonna ask those questions. We should be armed to understand as best we can what the current condition is, what we're experiencing, and then what a likely future impact might be.
And I'm assuming we're gonna get an estimate on what this is gonna cost.
Yeah, I would ask first.
Okay, because we already spent a bucket load.
We're gonna double the cost.
That's what I'm afraid of.
So what we covered is from 236 in Maine up to Portland Street in Maine. No farther. Correct.
I think they go basically to the funeral.
I think we need to go. Norton Street in Maine needs to be included in that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Has to. We cannot let that go missed, because that is Portland Street. It's as busy as Portland Street. And then I think, you know, like you've already said, it impacts everything else. Everything else is seeing all that, but I think those four trunks, really those four intersections of 236 in Maine, Academy in Maine, 4 in Maine, and Norton in Maine, our real problem areas. And I personally believe if they're able to give us some sense of organization there, I think the public will come through and understand that at least they know they don't have to wait for some slow person that's afraid to take a left on the main street. They know that the light's there, or if there's a light or a rotary there, or whatever the heck they create, slingshot or catapult, who knows what the heck they do.
Academy in Maine.
There's no room, I've heard it 3 times, there's no room for a rotary downtown. There is no room. If you build one like you have in Kennybunk, I drive over it.
Yeah.
Because I cannot fit my truck through it, and I had a regular sized truck. So there is no room downtown for a rotary.
Jeff, can you whistle again for me, too? I got Norton Street, oh, you got it? Yeah, okay, you got it. Okay.
On a square footage.
I mean, and then as far as, you know, I think those are the key areas to look at. And then as far as what else we need from there, I think it's understanding what we're dealing with, but then also understanding the impacts of messing with them. Like, that's where, in my mind, I'm hoping that they'll be able to say, if we put a 3-way stop at Norton, this is how it will affect the Portland Street, Main Street intersection. If we leave it as is, or if we put a light there, if we put, you know what I mean? Spell that out for us so we can understand the impacts, because if we can do something at 2 of those, and it's more than we have, but we don't necessarily understand how it's going to impact the other things. I'm not sure if that's clear or if that's out of order. You know what I mean? It's understanding the impacts that is what I'm thinking is what they bring the benefit to us.
Those areas are impacted today. They're part of our traffic story today. And so they need to be included as part of this analysis. And I'm frankly kind of surprised that, because like, if you think about Norton Street, there's traffic always coming from Norton Street onto Main Street. Like are they drawing these like super finite lines of like, we won't look over, look down this road? Is that,
Well, I
Do
think.
you know
that
what I mean?
Well,
goes
no,
into it.
when we started, when we did the report, we pulled the report and said, you want to update this report? And we agreed to update this report, and that report specified a certain area. That's what they're looking at.
yeah,
So after last night, they said, after the other night, they came to me with a concern and said, there's a lot more out there than this. You are, as John said, reality is, they said, this is the time to make that change, but this is the time to make that change.
Mhm.
And if you want to do that, you need to tell us now so we can get back a price to you to say, okay, to do the rest of this stuff would be this, this, and this, this, and this, and this. Because that's what we did, we saved money by dusting off the report, we got the base report. But it's specific to the area that was in the current 2010 study.
Mhm.
So if we want to make the changes, we'll
Mhm.
get a hold of them. They did say they were coming back. They said they had a lot more to do. We'll get a hold of them, bring them back, meet with them and say, here's what we want to do. This is what we'll teleconference with them and say, give us a price to add these in. I'll bring that back to the council and you guys can think about it and see how you feel with that.
okay.
The question I had though also is people, people like Brett down on Liberty. They're seeing, and I've noticed it since the traffic study coming in from that, and I'm doing it too. I'm not at 25 when I get to that bridge, and it's like, holy crap, I gotta slow the heck down. How can we? I feel like that's a thing. Maybe our flashing sign will impact that.
It has, I followed people down, when I
Yeah.
see the brake lights come on. But Brad had a good point, he said, the sign is only effective for about 10 or 11 months, and people get used to it and they ignore it.
Right.
So they recommend exactly what we're doing, we're gonna take them down November 1st. They'll be down out of the weather for the winter, and then Jay will put them back up in May 1st, so they're really only up about 6 months a year. Because if not, I found that the solar panels and they get destroyed by the weather. That's also a good thing because it creates a practice and then it resets their mind again and so forth. But I have had a lot of positive comments, more on that side of town than the Portland Street side of town. So people on Portland Street want one further up on the 35 zone.
Yeah.
Maybe next year if we have extra money, maybe we do that. I don't know. But something at this point, I think people are slowing down.
Yeah.
But they'll, again, not like the police crews are sitting out there, so.
I think that in my mind, I think it's important as it feeds into the center, this center area that this is our scope area. That's crucial to, as people are flying into town, we're trying to slow them down the best we can. You guys, and they would have to tell me that they could provide a benefit to us in extending that down to Liberty Street. And I don't see a benefit of their interaction there unless you guys do.
The only reason I think Liberty Street, because people coming off of 236 to avoid the 236 Main Street intersection will cut down, what is it, Vine and Liberty Street? I think, it's the same deal as Norton Street. I think it should be included.
But even if it is, you're never gonna stop it. There's nothing they can do about it. In all honesty, they're gonna use that cutoff, no matter what. If there's 100 cars or 500 cars, they're gonna use that cutoff every day. And that's why I'm just saying, I don't know how much we wanna add in money for something we're not gonna get back in value.
So let's do this. Can we ask Sebago Technics to give us a quote for these 4 additional areas, like itemized? Like if we were to include the Liberty Street, if we didn't include, and then we can kind of see what that looks like.
I say, if you're gonna include the area, include the area. I'm just saying, I'm with Jeff on that point of from 236 to Rollinsford.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, and I hate to say it this way, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can do to change it. It's a straight road. There's no bump outs. There's nothing we can do. We can put signs up. We can hope they slow down. But honestly, there's nothing we can do. It's just a straight shot and it's hard. I said, I come down that bridge coming out of Rollinsford. And I'm not going 25 when I hit that sign. I try to now because someone's behind me and I don't want to grieve, but it's hard to do it coming down across that bridge coming in. It's a straight shot.
Yeah.
It's
Going
hard.
downhill.
It is downhill and.
Breaks.
But I get the quote, we'll go
Yeah.
from there.
Okay, we'll get the quote. Brett, I know you had something on this topic.
Oh, I didn't even, yeah, so I didn't know what you guys were gonna talk about, but I guess with regards to the traffic coming from 236 down into Rollinsford, I don't think it's as much of the volume, I think it's the speed. And the speed in relation to not only the cars that are trying to get out from, I think a woman mentioned Garland Street. And then I think it's the speed in relation to pedestrians as well, so if there's nothing we can do about the speed, because sometimes you can't change people's behavior, that you can't model that. So, but I think making the road or making that stretch safer for pedestrians to make sure that they can access downtown, whether it's in the future, get a lighted signal or bump outs, I think that would be important just to make sure that, if we're going to accept that there's speed, at least make it safer for pedestrians. But that wasn't what I was going to ask. I don't think it was asked, but forgive me if I forgot during the public hearing, but would the state pay 100% of any implementation, whether it's a traffic light or anything else? So if the state doesn't pay for this, why would they pay for the 91-236 intersection, I guess, if they're not going to pay for?
It's their road.
But the
91 and Dow Highway, Route 236 are state highways.
So, but what I was hearing, I guess, in the meeting was, these are also state highways that go through town.
Yeah, but they're coming to us and are in the real near future.
We hit the threshold for urban compact, which means the state reverts maintenance back to the town at that point.
They still will control the speed limit, that we can't go lower than 25. but we're gonna pay for
But on the
everything.
positive side, and this is something that Tim and I have briefly talked about, that if they're gonna be reverting things by statute to us, there may be some, this is wishful thinking on Jack's part, there may be some things that we can do with respect to traffic calming along that corridor, that we could negotiate perhaps with the state, because we all drive as fast as we see this big wide road. So we hammer it when you neck it down. Whether it's tree streets, bump outs, all these things, it does calm the traffic because and create shy zones along the side. People will slow down. Because if it's wide open like that, particularly with the full shoulder, I don't know how wide Main Street is down there by your house. It's gotta be 44 feet. 40 feet, something like that, but it's
You
wide.
don't know, Barbara?
No, but so when those travel lanes neck down, people slow down.
Yeah, it's a feeling of being sort of, you have to be careful, like when you put out the
Exactly.
pedestrian signs, people had to slow down too, and if you had cars on the side, you have to be more careful.
Well, even putting a 6-inch granite curb, which is out there right now, but on a road, if you put in a 6-inch granite curb, you create a shadow that no one sees, but it's there in front of the curb. So you've effectively narrowed the road by 2 feet on each side. And people say, I'm not gonna get rid of that. They push them towards the middle, they slow down, they don't want to hit the car.
Yeah.
Same thing on the other side.
Give room for plowing.
So
Yeah, well, plow drivers only hit them once.
I guess, can you put pressure on the state to help? I mean, I'm
Run for
naive.
office, will ya?
No, I mean, I'm naive, but it's,
No.
you see, you could run around, you drive around the state, you see, construction sites everywhere else. It's like, why can't we get that?
You got a better look
I
at
just wanna
funding
keep us,
unicorn.
keep us moving. So we're gonna ask to expand this. I think, part of their recommendation will be lights, et cetera. And then I think we can, I don't know if there's, I'm just totally spitballing, if there's like grants or opportunities and stuff that we could pursue to try to help with some of the funding. But I think that's like kind of a further down the line thing. First, we have to decide what we want to do.
Well, I mean, if you're paying money for a study, but then you can't pay for the implementation, then is it worth the study?
We're gonna try to do 50-50 split with the state if we can. at minimum.
Okay. Knock on wood.
Just a quick question, could it be part of the TIF funding?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what they're working on.
Yes, that's why we're working on the TIF.
Yeah, that's part of
Yeah.
our.
No,
trying to extend.
Yes.
I know, but I was just,
Yep.
traffic and roads is much different than beautification.
Yes. Gives us that extra bit of money.
Jess, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, I'd just be interested in understanding if we include additional roads, what their scope of work product, like how much longer it would take them to deliver anything to us.
Good point, dollars and time, if there's changes. Thank you. All right, anything else on, do you guys have what you need from us? Tim and Jen?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on traffic study?
Throw something in there, and it's really not the traffic thing.
It's not on the traffic topic?
It's about, I'm just curious, the stoplights we have for people crossing the street, are they extremely expensive? They are. Because coming through town tonight, coming here, I was doing 15 miles an hour. And these people in the, right near the Chinese restaurant there, I did not see until I was almost on top of them. I mean, I wasn't over on them, but I didn't see him.
Yeah, they called me and told me about you.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Say, last figure we had when we were talking, we were about 35 grand.
Oh my God, rip off, huh? Technology is a lot of profit there.
Yeah. Right, they might be lower, but that was, when we put the one out front, it was 30, no, not here, but in the town hall, it was 35 grand.
The last one I got on Portland Street over a year ago was about $10,000.
Oh, look at that.
But
thanks for
that was a discounted, he had it in the back and.
That's the one that only works half the time.
No, that one works all the time. It's actually better than the one in front of the town.
Because if they weren't, it'd be great in every crosswalk.
Well, and that's one of the things, actually, when we talked to the Sebago Technics, that's one of the things they brought up, and that'll be in their suggestion. They think, you know, they've been walking the streets, they looked at a couple, and they said, we certainly think, like down in the Vine Street area, that would be like a low hanging fruit, simple recommendation. So we already talked about that, just, you know, but I don't want to get too far into the study. That's not the
Yeah.
purpose of it. I'm just trying to, we've got our information, we'll go from there.
All right, new business number 1, joint services contract with Berwick. Tim, do you want to tee this up for us?
I just wanna, you know, let the town, the council know, as I informed you earlier in executive session, but that the joint services contract with Berwick has been dissolved. And that's it, end of discussion.
Okay.
Not on my part, on Berwick's part. The employees left and all the contract.
All right, so no action on that
No action.
specific item, okay. So moving on to number 2, TIF expenditure request.
So because of that, we were using the planner. We hired the code enforcement officer. She was in the budget. We paid for that position. They were paying for the plan position. We were both sharing them 2 days a week. The code enforcement officer now here 5 days a week. The planner we retained her for a couple days a week until the end of the month. And tried to figure out how we could finance that position. Not in the budget. So we ran it into the TIF project from Pumpkin Town. It is in there. It is in that TIF project. We sent it to Shanna at the lawyer's office. She approved it, said, yes, you can hire a planner through that. So we consulted with the planning board, who said, absolutely, we want to keep the planner. Tammy's got more than enough work going to keep with LD 2003, molding that into the land use ordinance, updating all the ordinances, working with the town staff, the planning board, the council. She would actually become lean more to the economic development side. So we have currently in a TIF, we currently have 1,351,000. We would, after you take out the money for the economic development position, that leaves about 1,164,000. So we're asking for around 49,808, but just make it 50,000. To fund the planner for the rest of the year, and then next year we probably put it 80-20 out of the TIF in the town budget, or some kind of number, however we look at it, however it fits in, so it has the least amount of impact in the municipal budget next year. That's what we're asking.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the 49,808 includes accrued benefits to the position?
No, go ahead.
It does not. We should be able to cover her benefits in our current budget.
Okay.
Any other-
If there's no other questions, I'll move to.
Yeah, any other questions from the council? Jessica?
I'll move to fund the town planner position out of the TIF account for the remainder of the fiscal year 2023 for a cost of $49,808.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I just want to say, I think that securing Tammy in this fashion is a great thing for the town. I've talked with people on the staff, and it seems like they got I'm interested in trying to get hired by the town to work on the team. Everybody's psyched about the team that is being created there. So it seems like we've got a really good team forming, and they're really meshing well from what I'm seeing and understanding. So I think honestly, I think it's a no-brainer and a great thing. So thank you for the work you guys are doing.
Thanks, Jeff. Any other discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. John?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jessica?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Do we need to make any motion for Tim for the traffic study? Do we need to make a motion?
Yeah. I don't think.
No, I don't think, because you'll have to I'll bring back your
This is
request.
just to get a
And
request.
then you'll have to make a motion to change the scope of the work that we assign.
And the dollars.
And the dollars, anything like that, so I think
Good
we're
point.
good. Okay,
Okay, new business number 3, straw poll language for election day. I was supposed to pull this together and I did not,
We'll table it till the next meeting.
which is after. the
Correct.
election.
So it's okay. 'cause
I apologize, guys, the last few.
What was the straw poll for? I don't, not only do I.
Whether we wanted to.
Am I
keep-
not
It was
prepared?
just kind of like a feeler question as to like get the sentiment from folks as to whether or not we should keep town hall where it is or move it.
Oh.
That question.
town hall
But we had some debate on like the financial,
question.
whatever, so,
I'm good with it not being there.
Yeah, I think it's really not right because we don't really have
the details.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I dropped the ball.
Mm-mm.
All right. Anything else on that one? I don't even want to like shake their fist in here. Town manager's report.
Madam Chair, members of the council, highway paving is now complete for the season. With the exception of the state part where they did 236. There's some roads and some driveways over there. They promised us they're coming back to do this week. I hope so. Fall cleanup is underway, getting equipment ready for winter. The line striping should be completed by the end of next week for Belmarsh and Hooper Sands and Gravel Street. Police department, the last 2 weeks, they had no arrests, 9 accidents, 50 traffic stops, of which 20 were on Poland Street. Honorable mention of Sergeant Moore and Officer Malatek were praised for being the most professional officers at a recent Zoom meeting by motor vehicle department hearing court proceedings. Chief Ruger has set up a COVID clinic at the senior center from November 2nd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The training, Lieutenant Upton completed his incident command with NIMS ICS 400 training, and Detective Sergeant Stevens and Officer Malatek and SRO McLeod all attended a 3-day class on statement analysis involving interview skills, learning to do police interviews. Fire department the last 2 weeks had 23 calls. Year to date is 346 calls. They're working on a comprehensive plan updates list. As applies to the fire department, Fire Prevention Week was a great success. Chief would like to see it be even bigger next year, putting a financial plan together for equipment needed for the new fire engine that'll be arriving next year. Code enforcement the last 2 weeks has issued 5 building permits, 23 building inspections, 1 home occupation has been revoked, and 2 plumbing permits. Planning, the building permit for 406 Main Street was sent to Southern Maine Planning and Development for third-party review. 5-lot subdivision needs final approval this Wednesday from the planning board. The library book sale with a friend of the library raised $1,200. They hit their goal. Contest for all the Berwicks to see who will read the most pages from January 1st through February 28th. Signups are until the end of this month, and you could win a gift card to Barnes and Noble or Amazon. Ghost Stories for ages 12 to 15 is on Friday from 10:28 at 7 p.m. Family Halloween Party from 12 to 2, Spooky Crafts and Ghoulish Games on, what's the date?
Oh, I'm sorry, it was Saturday,
On Saturday,
10:29.
10:29. Recreation after-school programs are filling up very quickly. The adult yoga is going very well. Youth soccer is all wrapped up for the season. The ice rink has been ordered. Trick or treat is Sunday with a parade starting at Community Center at 5:30. The new janitor Pete stripped and waxed the floors at the community center, and they look amazing. They've been done in a long time, made a huge difference. For the seniors, the Halloween lunch is Wednesday at noon. Share tribute show is on November 17th. Don't know, got no details on that.
What is that, share?
Share tribute show. Share, yeah.
Sure, the costumes will be terrific.
Sure they will. Assessing, we're continuing to receive and process property tax stabilization applications. We're almost at 300. Final valuation report has been sent into the state for the assessing from the state. The town clerk reports that over 1,000 absentee requests received already, mailed back out. Do you know how many have you got in so far?
Oh, 300.
300,
Get them back soon. Don't wait.
okay. Transfer station, we had somebody resign and leave on the part-time positions. We have a new hire, should be starting next week to fill 1 vacancy. And the trash level seemed to have evened out. Economic development, working with Jen on the new TIF maps. Potential TIF zone maps will be sent to the state for an acreage check when next week sometime, you think?
Yes, I believe by the end of next week.
People are calling with interest in bringing businesses to town. She's had 2 calls of substantial interest where people, one is a business in Rollinsford, currently looking to come here with a 7,500-foot production business and do Pumpkin Town. So it's already started, so yay for us. Finance, HR, benefits and safety, go ahead.
We only have 5 homes that are at risk for foreclosure this year, which is the lowest in like 20 years, which is great. That foreclosure date will be December 1st. We are working on open enrollment for all the insurances for the calendar year of 2023. We have gotten a training and scholarship grant available for staff for up to $1,200 per employee to be used by the end of this year. If anyone wants to take advantage of that, we just kind of passed that out to the department heads this week. We also have 2 grants that have been approved by MMA for safety for the highway department. One is for security cameras at the town garage, and the second is for dump blocks for a total of $5,500. And in accordance with our code under the grant procurement, once we are at the point of acceptance, we will present it to the council to formally accept the funds. And I am actually already starting to work on the templates for next year's budgets. So round Jersey we go.
And for administration, next month, I'll be starting management leadership training for all department heads in November. I'll be going through most of the winter and the spring. When we do department head meetings, I'll be giving them little snippets of training. Revise is in step 5. The migration is complete for the website. They're now into step 6, which is the internal quality assurance. That'll take up to 3 weeks, and then they'll start step 7 training and site review. So we're making headway, getting closer. I met with a gentleman, Mr. Levine from Parent Street, regarding complaints at his business. He'd already met with the code enforcement officer, and he wanted to meet with me today. That was a 2-hour meeting. Working on training policies for the council, planning board, and zoning board of appeals. Working on the RFP for the town hall project. Working on updating job descriptions. The repeaters for the police and fire department radios that we ordered with our ARPA funds back months ago are still on order, waiting for the chips to come in so we can get them, hopefully before winter. I attended fire prevention activities last week that they put on for the schools. They were really good, very active. They had the smokehouse going. They had Sparky the fire dog. They had a bunch of good things. The kids were all happy, jumping around. Firemen were all happy, jumping around. Town manager was happy, jumping around. So that completes my manager report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We did that out of order today, right? Normally. we
So
do-
I asked them to move the manager's report to the end,
Oh.
because when there are people here for a business on the agenda,
Mhm.
it takes 10-15 minutes
Yeah,
to
yeah.
tie them up for no reason. So I just asked Barbara if we could put it
Yeah, I
towards
like
the
it.
end of the thing. That's it.
All right, council member comments. Jessica, you want to go first?
Sure. November 10th is Veterans Day, so it's coming up, I think, before our next meeting because we're taking the 8th, we're skipping a week, right? Just a heads up to the community that the Great Work School is hosting a Veterans Day breakfast and assembly. So if you're interested in participating, I'm sure reach out to Mr. Burnell over at Great Work School. And I've also been approached by the Sobo Arts to place their holiday craft banner on the town hall's front lawn as they have in the years past. I was wondering if we are able to provide them access to the lawn for placement after the Firefighters Association Toy Drive banner is removed for the holiday parade, which is November 26th, and remain up through Home for the Holidays on December 2nd.
This isn't a question I ever recall being asked.
So who is it that wants to do it?
The Sobo Arts Group.
Okay, well, they would normally have to present it to me and then I present it to the council. So I just need your approval for that sign. I mean, but usually it comes,
Should we just tell Jessica, can you have Sobar reach out to Tim?
Totally.
yeah, just have them email me something or send us something so I can present it to the council so you can vote on it. So you
I have a
can-
question on that.
Yeah.
Jessica, is Sobo Arts an arm of Sobo Central?
Not that I know of.
Explain it. They are, Sobo Central's the umbrella organization. Smart Growth, Home for the Holidays is an arm of Smart Growth. And their Sobo Arts is kind of under the Home for the Holidays. Basically, they get to use the insurance that Sobo Central provides, as long as they are involved with the Home for the Holidays.
Yeah, they just send me something, I'll put it on the agenda for
Okay.
next meeting. Jeff, will I give them enough time to get it done, to get their sign out if we put it on the agenda for next time?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, just have them send me something, I'll get it on the agenda, and we'll get it approved.
Anything else, Jessica?
That's it.
Thank you. John?
Two, one's short, one's long. I'll make sure I wish all the candidates good luck this year in the upcoming election, because I can't do it by name. I get yelled at when I do that. So here's to all three candidates running for the council position. I'll look forward to sitting with two of you at some point in the next month or so. Second one is Jack. I never thought I would see the day that I'd be sitting here and you'd be leaving. I thought it was bad enough when Jeannie left us. So 8 years ago, I came in really not knowing a lot about local government, coming in to fight the big firework ban. And through the years, you've got me to stay with the knowledge you've taught me, both procedural here and really town history. I mean, I grew up here, and it's amazing what you know about town history in bringing to this level of the council. Your knowledge and insight is is gonna be very hard to lose. Town has been incredibly lucky to have you for 37 years. I was incredibly lucky to sit next to you for 8. Again, we haven't always agreed, we've butted heads, but you've always showed me the respect, and we've always come out of it good. We've always left smiling, happy, and it was never a bad time. So I just want to let you know, I truly appreciate the 8 years that I got to sit here next to you, and it's been an honor.
Thank you, John.
Jeff,
I just, this past Saturday, I met with Great Works Land Trust for a hike and did a presentation on some of the town history and people in town, as well as talking about DeRoche's Forest, which is a Great Works property, as well as our town forest. And a lot of excited people and a lot of enthusiasm about the resources that we have around our town. Just very excited to see so many excited people about out there. So it was a nice hike, and we beat the rain, and it was a good day. So just want to thank everybody that came out. And then Jack, hasn't been 8 years, been a good year. So I just want to thank you for your experience and your vast knowledge. So it's been a good year, and a lot of knowledge that I've gleaned from what you have to offer. So I appreciate your time here in town and my time being able to spend it with you. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and good luck to you in the years ahead.
Thank you.
You have a lot to offer.
Thanks.
I'm gonna go next, so I'm gonna give you the opportunity to go next.
Oh, boy.
Just a reminder, election day is coming up in a couple weeks on November 8th, so everyone get out there and vote. Town hall will be open from 8 to 6, Barbara, 8 to 8, I can't remember. 8 to 8. 8 to 8, thank you.
Look at the enthusiasm.
Only 3 more to go.
And because election day is the 8th, our next council meeting will not be till the 15th.
Yeah.
So we'll see you all in a few weeks with a different group. Good luck to all of the candidates. I'm excited to see how the election shakes out. And then for Jack, thank you you've been a fabulous mentor to me in the 5 years I've been on the council, and I was so lucky to serve next to you, and just thank you for your service.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
That's all I got.
Jack, have the honor of my line.
Oh.
That's a big.
I got some comments.
Oh, damn.
He's got comments first.
After your comments, finish that up.
Well, thank you all very much. Many kind words, and I've heard others outside saying thank you to me, and it's been wonderful to do this. And what we do here is really a self-test. It's an examination in the public eye, under public scrutiny, to see how well we do. And we do these things, and we solve problems together, big ones, small ones, and we do it in a genteel fashion. We're respectful, professional, and remarkably, we come out the other side with a solution. Now, it's not always the best solution, but we come out with a solution, and we're all still friends at the end of the day. And so I would encourage you to continue to promise each other that you won't attack each other personally. And whatever councils come on, make that little speech, Mallory, to say that, because what we've done when the new council was seated, that we made this isn't written down in any policy or procedure or anything like that, but we do an eye-to-eye agreement that we're not going to attack each other personally. The ad hominem type of argument is very powerful. And we see it in the national debate where people attack each other personally. And so if we make that deal with each other and someone comes in and wants to start getting personal, we can tap the gavel and say, no, we don't do it to each other. And that includes staff. We don't expect to come on from that side of the table either. And so if you want to discuss the issue of the day, fine, robust, for or against, doesn't matter. But I think that's a big thing, that we keep it civil. And it's been my pleasure to participate in that, and also to have that self-examination of saying, okay, we've handled the big problems like building this building or building a bridge or a library or anything, road bond, whatever they say. And, but it's also little problems that we handle, and we do it with the help of the staff. And I'd like to thank the staff for all the support through the years. It's been wonderful to meet you, Tim, and you've had your challenges, putting a whole new staff together.
Yeah.
In your, what is it now? It's like 10 months.
10 months.
Yeah, and so it's been great, and Jen, you've been terrific, and helping us solve many challenges. And so you're great, and I wish you all continued success. Thank you. Oh,
Make the motion.
I got the pen.
You got the pen. Make the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Jessica,
Aye.
got her hand raised. Motion passed 5-0.
I don't give that out lightly, Jack.
That was very,
I
very
like